Welcome to the Bookers Alliance podcast, where we hold the pencil and the pencil is power. Coming at you right now is your host, Marky Mark, along with the man, the myth, the legend, Frank Donaldson. Join us as we discuss the ever-changing landscape of professional wrestling. So hang on tight, you jabronis, and enjoy the ride. Welcome in, everybody. Thank you for joining today's episode of the Bookers Alliance podcast. Come on inside the house, bring yourself a ring-size seat, get your popcorn, your sodas, your whiskey, get everything you need. Because we're talking about main event breakdown today.
Yeah, so first advice, you better get it quick, right? Because you got to throw it together when you're doing stuff either last minute or on the fly. Grab your stuff quick, right? Quick. We're going to catch you on the move. As things are happening, you got to be shaking and moving. We're shaking and moving
today.
To make sure we bring y'all a show this week because we're in WrestleMania season and we owe y'all a show every Friday. So damn it, we're coming through.
Landscape moves fast in the podcast realm.
Changes will be made and changes are happening, pal. Okay.
Just when you think you got all the answers,
exactly.
We change the question.
We are very versatile. We got change ability. So change agility, we're going to do it.
Ooh, change agility.
Yeah, there you go. We got change agility and change ability. We're doing it today.
Got change everywhere.
There you go.
All right, we got to talk about today's sponsor. Standby.
Yep, pretty much.
House whiskey.
Grab something quick. It was like hit record. Whoa. What are we drinking? Like
we got a sponsor. We need a sponsor.
Yeah, so behind the scenes, we're recording early today. Sponsor didn't get that shipment to us in time.
Yep.
We usually get our shipment on Wednesday. We record. Had to adjust. Had to record on Tuesday. We're fresh off of a Monday Night Raw on Netflix from the UK, wasn't it?
Yep, from
London. Yep, fresh into in the NXT show, but we got SmackDown on Friday, in my hometown of Chicago.
Chicago.
So we had to record early today so we can make sure we have our asses in the All-State Arena, prime seating in Chicago, Chi-Town. All right.
Oh, what was it in Chi-Town that was WCW back in the day?
Chi-Town Rumble.
That was it.
They made it easy for you. They say they ain't even going to be hard to forget. Chi-Town Rumble.
All right, so really, sponsor this week, House Whiskey. Good old Jack Daniels Tennessee Honey.
Oh, yeah, good old standby.
So cheers to changes.
We can do that.
Good old Tennessee Honey whiskey. I like it a lot.
Yeah. Nice and smooth. It go down real smooth.
All right, let's talk about main event breakdown. We have to start this topic off with the verbal battle that happened between John Cena.
Now wait, we're
and
not
Cody
starting
Rhodes.
with main event Jey Uso. because you're talking main event, so I figured you'd be talking the biggest main. Oh, okay, never mind. All right, we'll get there. We got time.
There's a reason.
Just like WWE saying, we got time. We'll get there. We'll figure it out.
We got 42 days before WrestleMania.
Exactly. Yeah, we'll figure it out. We got time.
All right, so let's talk about this verbal battle between John Cena and Cody Rhodes. So first things first. First two verbal battles that happened really weren't verbal battles.
Yeah, they had best to tease. It was like, right. We'll tease you, we'll string you along, we'll give you a payoff eventually. We finally got there.
Yeah, so the first two was John Cena coming out there and, running his mouth, telling his sob story, telling everything he had to tell about we bullied him and he's not a face, he's not a heel, he's a human being.
He's the guy. He's not a good guy. He's not a bad guy. He's the old guy.
Yeah. Oh. And then, the second, the first thing Cody come out and said, look, I hope this ain't the little, the person that I'm going to be fighting at WrestleMania because this person's a little bitch.
Yeah.
So the second one, when they had it never was, tick for tat.
Yeah.
It was always, I'm going to say mine and then you say yours.
Yep. But so, we knew it was coming.
It was coming. Just like any trilogy.
Yeah, you gotta build.
The third one is always the one you want to watch.
Yeah, you gotta build to it. We only got 2 more Raws left before the actual event at this point, so it was time to give us something.
Unless you're talking about Blade, and then that third one was. Ugh.
Well, so and the reboot is gone. Yeah. So apparently there is no more Blade. The last Blade we got was the Blade from Deadpool Wolverine. Yeah. So Go back and watch that. Enjoy it. That's all you got coming.
You get.
Yep, they scuttlebutted all the rest of the new ones. So yeah, that's gone.
Let's talk about John's entrance. I love John's entrance right now. I love the fact he's pulling out the towel. I love the fact that he's holding it over his head and just walking to the ring, because it still says, this is the last time. Mm-hmm. The last time. And it's like he's still waving it in our face. You know what? F you.
Well, think back to his ECW debut, when he wrestled Rob Van Dam and he came out and he was booed, even though he was,
and he held the title up like that, walking to the ring.
Yeah, exactly. He held it up just like he holds the towel up now. Typically how a boxing champion would go to the ring. You put your head down, you're in the enemy territory, you put your head down, you walk through the muck, and then you get in there and then you're ready to go to war. That's essentially what he's doing now. He knows he's in enemy territory because he's not a fan favorite anymore. So he can't celebrate and point at people and clap hands and all that. He's just got to go down there and get ready for war.
And I found it interesting. They missed a spot. And I hate that they missed a spot. It happened twice. And they so could have done this spot, and it would have been funny. I don't know if it would have added anything to it, but it was definitely a spot I was looking for. So as he walks to the ring and he puts this towel down on the apron, he puts it down in the spot where wrestlers normally get in when they get ready to enter the ring.
Wipe their feet off.
And they wipe their feet.
Yeah.
It's a whole nother thing about wiping your feet. But just in a roundabout way, it's respect.
Yeah.
It's paying respect to the ring. Mm-hmm. Okay. So the spot that they've missed 2 weeks in a row
was Cody
wiping his feet on that towel.
I thought he was going to do it last night when he left, because he left right over the towel when he got out of the ring after he dropped Cena. He jumped out of the ring and the towel was there. I thought he was going to pick it up and throw it down, or Shawn Michaels blow his nose in it, or something to disrespect the towel. Just trash the thing, or even throw it out into the fans. I thought they would do that, but again, we still got 2 weeks, so you can't shoot your whole wad on the first. This ain't AEW, right? So we're not going to give it all to you tonight. Then go in limp for the last 2 pushes.
All right, so we finally
that
get them.
analogy went deep, huh?
It went.
Wow, it's getting worse.
Yeah, it's getting worse.
All right, so
Blue Chew sponsored today.
Exactly. I was going to say, okay, cue it up, fire it up.
So we finally get them both in the ring though this past Monday night. The crowd is energized. They're going ham, and then John Cena gets ready to speak on the mic, and then Cody goes, no. We've heard enough from you. And then Cody proceeds to try to cut off John at the pass and say, let me understand what you're going to do. You're going to come out here and you're going to talk about my lisp.
Yeah.
Or you're going to talk about,
which is that's a good conversation to talk about, because Cody's lisp has gotten worse. Yeah, it's like the more he channels Dusty, the worse that damn lisp.
I think he channels his dad.
And he just pulls it in there. He goes into that promo, and damn, I'm like, hell, how many STHs is he going? Thuffer and Thuckatash in this one. I'm like, good Lord, give me a break.
But then he talks about the neck tattoo that should have been an arm tattoo.
At least he knows it and accepts it. That is horrible. Yeah, at least he knows it. And then
we bring up Stardust.
Yeah, I didn't think he would go into Stardust, right? I feel like we did that already when he came back.
I do
seems
too.
Like we can get away from.
And Cody, I hope you kind of realize, us Cody Crybaby fans, dude, we actually liked the Stardust gimmick. It wasn't bad.
Yeah, but he hated it.
He hated it.
I mean, he was literally a Goldust ripoff. I mean, how much worse can it get if you're going to be the little brother anyway? Good Lord.
Yep. So anyhow, he gets into that, gets to talking there, and then John finally starts unloading on Cody.
Oh, did he ever?
And then we got into what we were all wondering. Was Cody being protected, or was Cody really going to be able to hang with John on the mic?
Both. I would say, and luckily, like I said, Cena was able to get into it because, as he said, you're definitely being protected by the machine, which I think that harkened back to the last 2 weeks. Why hadn't Cena been eviscerating him on the mic? Cody got in his bag for a minute. He said, everyone's afraid of you on the mic, but I'm not. And then Cena went on to show him why he should be.
Yeah.
So Cody could, I get it. He's the hero. He's the top of the mountain right now. But at the end of the day, he can't hang with his politician promos. They're not going to hang with somebody like Cena. That's not where he needs to go.
So you're talking to your boy. You're talking to your Cody Crybaby. Got the Cody shirt on right now, right? You're talking to him. Even I will admit, had Cody not had time to prepare, on what he was going to say to John. If John wanted to go rogue and go off script, John would have killed him.
So, I mean, we've talked about it before. It's the same as back in 2016 when it happened with Roman Reigns.
Yep.
John went a little bit off kilter. He went a little bit off script. And Roman was shook. He was like, "Ooh, wait a minute, where do I go from here?" You know, and he was trying to deliver the lines, realizing them lines didn't fit, and he's like, "Ooh, this sounds horrible."
Case in point, if you want a more modern example, Charlotte Flair, Tiffany Stratton,
same difference.
Yeah,
go a little bit when the experienced veteran goes a little bit off base. You know, the younger talent done that. Now, Cody's definitely in younger talent anymore.
No, Cody's got the experience, but
he's got enough miles under his belt that he can handle it. But handling it and hanging are different.
John's too quick.
Exactly.
And that's what makes him deadly.
Yeah. Because he knows a whole bag of stuff he's gonna say, right? So he doesn't come out there with a scripted promo. But he's probably got 10 to 15 shots in the chamber, right?
See,
he's just ready to pick which one he needs. So if you go like Cody started with the neck tattoo at the start, okay, great. Well, that's three of them down.
Yep.
I still got 12 lined up over here. I'm good to go.
And that's the thing about people like John. The only other person that's like John on the mic is Punk.
Yeah.
Those are the guys that they can put something out there, and usually 9 times out of 10, even if it falls flat, they still find a way to spin it to where it becomes, ooh, that was kind of legendary that you put that out there.
And they all learned it from Attitude Era Rock.
Absolutely.
I mean, now, not current rock, not write it on your wrist rock. I'm talking about Attitude Era Rock. When the writers, because everybody went off bullet points back then, they said, "Hey, here's where we need you. Here's where we need you to get to. You get there however you want. You know, you can either go straight, you can take a couple round of blocks, you can, you can go all over the place. As long as you get there, we're good." So you had to be able to come off the cuff then.
Back then, though, you didn't have to worry about being canceled either.
That too.
As a performer, as a company, losing sponsors, you didn't have to worry about none of that crap back then.
That's true. But you got to figure Cena's 20 years in the game of protecting the company shield at this point. He knows where not to. He knows what line not to cross. He knows where not to mess up. Although they are getting kind of wordsy here on Netflix, they are pushing the limits on Netflix. It's good to see more adult promos. Yeah. But I'm also glad to have Cena rein it back in and say, hey, we don't have to just sit here and cuss at each other all night. You know, he actually reins it back in like, oh, your simple mind has to go to this type of language because you can't handle it on this level. And I like that he's there to bring it back because it actually gives you the reason why we're not just sitting here cussing at each other and throwing out F-bombs and all that other. Cena's actually drawing the story back to, I don't have to speak like that to get my point across. I can get my point across with whatever words I want. And he's able to say, oh, it's able to make it better for Cody not to have to do it too. Yep. So I like the thinking behind that.
So there's a couple of lines that got thrown out. Cena accused Cody of being protected.
Yep.
Whether it was by the machine or or whether it was by this, that, and the other, he kind of pointed out you were being protected.
Based. I'm not shading him on that one.
Not either. I think that's pretty accurate. There were times that Cody is being protected.
Yep. Clearly.
Cody kind of shot back at John, talking about, look, you were handpicked by the man who was back in the office, and we're not allowed to talk about him anymore. He kind of threw that line out there.
He did say that, but I had a qualm on that. When Cena rose to his prominence or whatever, he was not the handpicked guy. That was Batista on the other channel. Now, we know, think about WrestleMania 21 when they both got crowned, right? Mm-hmm. Both of it. Cena didn't main event. Cena got crowned in the middle. So he was a mid-card guy. He was winning the WWE Championship, but he was a mid-card
He was actually on his way out the door.
Yeah, had the rap gimmick not picked up, we wouldn't have got to any of this point. So, right. But yeah, Cena, he was the B-show guy for number one because they needed a guy. JBL was on his way out. Injuries were taking over. His run was almost a year at that point. It had ran its course, and they were looking to crown somebody else. But if you remember where the fireworks and the main event and all that, all the hoopla and all that was Batista getting crowned the World Heavyweight Championship with the World Heavyweight Championship over Triple H. So Batista was the guy solely because Brock Lesnar left. Lesnar was originally the guy.
Lesnar was the guy. Yeah. He was the handpicked
guy. Lesnar was the guy out of that class. They always talk about that class of 4 or 5 if you include Shelton.
Yep.
But Lesnar was the guy. Lesnar left. That's where Cena even got a door opened up for him.
And pause right here. Shelton Benjamin, I want to give you your flowers. Why does everybody always forget Shelton was in that class?
So
Shelton was damn good.
Fans forget because Shelton never got, world title level or anything. But anybody who talk, like I've heard Pritchard, I've heard Jim Cornette, I've heard all the guys that were around that area then, they all flat out say Shelton was the best athlete out of all of them.
Absolutely.
And I mean, he showed that throughout his years. The fact that he's still going at the level he's still going at proves that he was the best athlete out of all of them guys out there. But I mean, Randy Orton was the future. They had Randy Orton at 22, 23. They knew they had umpteen years with him left.
Yep.
Batista was older. He wasn't more experienced, but he was definitely a lot older than those guys. So and he had a perfect look. I mean, that guy especially to be an antithesis for Triple H, he had a perfect look for that, for what Raw looked at, for what Vince looked, what he looked for. Batista was that guy.
Yep.
And then there was John Cena. He was just the fourth guy. I mean, unfortunately, he was at the time, he was the fourth guy.
I think with John Cena, I think maybe where Cody meant to take this, and it would have been a lot to unpack and explain.
Yeah.
But Cena was the follow up to Hogan.
Yeah,
and
what he ended up being.
They tried their best to fill Hogan's shoes for a long time and couldn't never put anybody in there because it was swinging the other direction.
Yeah.
But it really took to the Ruthless Aggression era before finally you could put somebody in Hogan's shoes, so to speak.
Yeah. Well, the Ruthless Aggression / PG era.
Right.
I think PG helped Cena a lot too. Because a guy like Batista had a hard time with PG. That wasn't his bread and butter. He was aggressive. He was loud when he needed to be, but not, he was no verbal warrior by any means. Right. But his emphasis came out more with the language he used and things like that. To where Cena is a wordsmith. He could twist and turn the words how he needs to fit whatever avenue he needed to go down. So he could fit into PG a lot better than the majority of the guys that were wrestling.
Speaking of being a wordsmith, he told Cody, "I'm going to do what everybody else says that I do best. I'm going to bury you."
Yep. Yeah, that was a loaded line.
And he told him, he said, "It's not the fact that I buried talent. I am the talent. I bury mediocrity."
And he didn't tell lies. No lies were told.
And I was like, yeah.
As that line was being uttered, I promise the first thing I said is no lies were told to this point.
Yep. As CM Punk would say, tell me when I'm telling lies.
Exactly. And we've talked about it on the show before. This Cody run, we're a year into it now. And at no point in this year have I said, man, this is the best thing since sliced bread.
Right.
It's adequate. It's doing its job, but it's never been that exciting fight. And I get it is for the kids and things like that. Yeah. And that's who Cody markets to. Cody doesn't market to my demo. I get all that, but it's based on that. It's underwhelming to me. And the fact that Cena, who's a member of my demo, he fits right into our age group, our window, all that other, the fact that he calls it out, kudos to that.
Yep. So a couple other lines that were thrown, some pretty heavy hitters. There was a mention somewhere along the lines about John Cena's D and his jorts somewhere along there.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, as I heard that, I'm like, whoo. I was like, all right, so we're fired up now.
And then we got into the line of John Cena, you can't wrestle.
So when he said that, because that's what Cena was getting out of the ring. Yep. That's what they were calling it one. And I don't think the fans picked up on it the way they wanted to, because if you notice, Cena looked out to the crowd a lot.
But they wanted that you can't wrestle.
Yeah, they were trying to get him to chant it like immediately.
Yeah.
But by that point, and I don't think they anticipated it, but it happened. By that point, the crowd kind of sided with John. I mean, you could almost see the shift. The "Let's Go Cena" chants were a hell of a lot louder than the "Cena sucks" chants at that point. And I think that particular crowd started to side with John, and they weren't willing to do the whole "you can't wrestle" thing. So I think that kind of fell flat.
The line that did not fall flat for me, though, which I felt, to me, a lot of people don't like the fact that they're doing this. And I get it. I totally get it. But
you're going where I think you're going. I love it. So
the drama in me of a wrestling fan that watches a male soap opera every day, the drama of this line is what carried it for me.
Okay.
John looked at Cody straight in his face and told him, "I built empires for billionaires, and you take money from their kids."
Line of night. The line of the night, hands down.
I was like, oh my God.
That was the line of the night, hands down, because it was as true could be.
It was.
There was at no point. Now, don't get me wrong. AEW would be long gone had Cody not been there at the start. AEW would have been a couple of pay-per-views and and maybe three or four house shows, and they'd have been in the tank by now.
Yep.
If Cody had to been there to help lift that brand off it. But at the end of the day, essentially what he said is what happened.
Yep.
Cody stayed there, he got a few paychecks, and then he bolted for greener pastures. I mean, hey, and all hands down, best move in wrestling.
Yep.
Smartest move in wrestling next to CM Punk getting himself fired to also head to greener pastures. Because they saw the writing on the wall. They said, this ship is the Titanic, and I see the iceberg. I actually got a chance to get off here. Well, what do you think I'm going to do? They got off, and now they're Rose DeWitt Decatur's mom, Rose DeWitt Decatur, and they're on the boat, and Jack and AEW, they're in the damn water getting ready to sink. So, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, the fact of the matter is that line rang so true that whether they wanted it to be said or not, it had to be said.
That is the line that will carry this feud.
Yeah.
That is the line, because John Cena, another part that we didn't talk about yet in this promo was John was, basically said, look, you got to where you are because you were my chauffeur. You spent all those days riding up down the road with me, stealing my secrets, so you can steal your way into this championship.
He sat at the foot of the learning tree.
So for me, that line about I built empires for billionaires and you took money from their kids, that line right there, to me, sums up this whole thing right here.
Yep. That's the line that a couple of years from now, we'll still find ourselves repeating on this show, where the majority of, up to this point, everything else has been far less than memorable.
Yep.
Nothing that happened even the physicality that happened after that is damn forgettable. I mean, it was a one-shot deal, and it went right into
He put him in the crossroads, and he laid there forever, and we know that in the match, he's going to have to put 7 on him.
He took a little nap. Yeah. And I mean, as we saw him lay there completely unconscious, and like you said, I'm thinking the same thing. When that happens in the match, he's going to hulk up, and like you said, we'll be 15 of those in before anybody gets a pin.
As Roman says, people actually lose to that move.
Right. Like, this ain't a thing here.
Right.
This doesn't really happen. But like you said, he laid there, took a little cat nap, looked completely out. Okay, I get it. Great selling, right? But damn.
So I was in on the heel turn as just being a fan of professional wrestling. Anytime something like that is important as John Cena turning heel, you have to look at it, even if you're not a John Cena fan, and you look at that and you go, man, that was good. That was cool.
That's epic.
That was cool.
Yeah, it's epic.
Right. So as we started building, we get the speeches and we get this, that, and the other, and then we're all waiting for what we got Monday. We're all waiting for it. It did not disappoint. Now, I don't know where this is going to go, which is great. I don't want to know.
Yep.
But my heart says Cena is getting 17.
So you said that last week, or either last week or the week before.
It ain't changed.
So now I go back to standard WWE 50-50 booking, right? So Cody went over this week, right? Cody left with his hand. So Cena's got to get a get back, right? Otherwise, if Cena gets dominated for the next 2 Raws, then it's completely wasted.
But here's what I found out today.
Okay.
That was the last Cena advertised appearance until WrestleMania.
Ooh. So I didn't know that, and I remember mentioning it to you yesterday. They're missing an opportunity here.
The Chicago crowd.
Right, because they're going to be in SmackDown. SmackDown's going to be in Chicago on Friday, as we stated.
Also, listen to the word.
Missing the fact that Cody and what the fans would do for Cena. I mean, because Chicago fans were really the first set of fans that shit on John Cena with no remorse, right? We were the first ones to let Cena know, you got them 5 moves of doom, and other than that, you ain't bringing much to the table, son. And Cena couldn't talk us back because, hell, we were good and fired up and ready to go for him, that he just kind of had to eat it and take it. Missing that opportunity is not going to be a good thing, and it's not just because I wanted to see it.
But listen to the word. I said advertised.
True, but I don't think they would do a Chicago show without Cena coming.
They may do a promo, like
they could do something with him being off site.
Yeah.
But if there is one place that you don't have to worry about A, selling out, and B, having the most raucous crowd in the arena,
Chicago.
It's in Chicago, knowing Punk's
Especially
coming.
Punk's going to be there.
Yeah, exactly. So they really don't have to advertise Cena. That would just be a happy accident. But I don't want to move past this yet because you forgot one really intricate part of this promo that we didn't touch. And that is the first time that we heard mention of The Rock since all this happened.
That's true.
Cody actually
Cody
mentioned
said,
John Cena sold out to The Rock.
Right.
And we haven't heard hide nor hair about The Rock's name since all this happened. So I feel like they're reintroducing Rock now. No need to bring him up in Europe because Rock ain't going there, right?
Right.
Rock wasn't doing none of the Irelands, none of the Switzerlands, none of that.
Rock about didn't make it across the Pacific.
Exactly, and that's what I mean. All of that wasn't gonna happen.
We got close to not having a Rock.
Yeah, well, yeah. That's so apparently
to hear tell he was trying to get to the UFL to do his introduction for the UFL this season.
Had some plane issues.
And they had to turn the plane around.
So, and that's what I mean. So they definitely weren't dealing with. They didn't have the time or the capacity to deal with it overseas. But when we get back to stateside, I feel like that's where we're gonna see if we're getting Rock or not. And I don't think they would have brought him up last night if they weren't intended to have him included here somewhere. So I feel like that seed that was dropped is what's going to give us the next 2 weeks worth. Because if Rock comes back, you really don't need Cena. So at that point, you can interchange the two.
Think we get Rock and Cody on next week's Raw?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Good point.
And how great would it be if we get it on Friday though?
Yeah, it would be.
If I mark out, you keep me in line, right? Make sure I don't make too much of a fool of myself.
All right. We got to talk about another main event, or is it a main?
We'll see how we went real heavy on the first segment because the second segment I don't think we're going to get as much meat on the bone. So
yeah, so we know that Jay and Gunther is not main eventing WrestleMania, even though both Jay and Charlotte won the Rumble, which the stipulation says that you get to main event WrestleMania.
Yeah, that's what it says.
In the Rumble.
But, I mean, so let's be honest, though. Last year, the World Heavyweight title opened on night 2 as well. So, I mean, that might actually end up being just that title spot.
It might be.
I mean, unfortunately, as long as you got this plethora of talent, that you can present at a WrestleMania, the World Heavyweight Champion, the Raw title, I guess we'll just stick with that. The Raw title, it might just be the night 2 opener. I mean, because last year it was Seth and Drew. I mean, they had a hell of a good story. They tied Punk into it. They had all that going on, but it still had to open because, what was coming later was a lot bigger. Right. So that just might be the spot that belt comfortably sits in. It may never reach that main event level as far as WrestleMania goes.
So at least they took a turn, though, with the story to get it to a main event type of a match.
Definitely gave us some drama.
So we had Jimmy versus Gunther to happen on Monday Night Raw. And unfortunately, Jimmy, he went bloodline the hard way, apparently.
Yeah, no kidding. So here's the thing, right? I was looking at Jimmy. Obviously we see so much of Jay. We don't see as much of Jimmy, so I hadn't really noticed it, but I noticed it last night. And, not being critical, because, I mean, you know us with this and as soon as you hear it, you'll know this ain't a topic we got any room to criticize on. But Jimmy was looking a little heavy last night. He looks like he's carrying a little extra right around these days. You know what it came across like? He kind of looked like a stuffed pig. And you know what stuffed pigs do?
They bleed.
Hell yeah, damn. If Jimmy didn't bleed like a stuffed pig last night, my goodness.
So Gunther he winds up attacking Jimmy after the match to the point where Jay come down to try to save him. Jay basically got himself zip tied to the damn ring rope, and Gunther proceeded to beat the ever-loving crap out of Jimmy to the point where he was wearing his blood by the time it was
Gunther
done.
was bathing in it, literally. Somebody at some point said he's bathing in it, and I looked.
Yep.
Gunther had it on his legs, all over one of his arms. It was over his chest. I said, damn, so Jimmy's down about a quart.
Yeah.
I mean, that ain't good.
So there was some intricacies, though, into what happened, though. First things first, we all knew Gunther was a killer, but now he's a certified killer.
Yeah.
Like, Gunther, you don't want to mess with this dude, right?
Yeah.
You can kind of get that vibe from him. Right?
And it tied in. I don't know if you even saw this week's LFG yet, but anybody who caught this week's LFG, Gunther was the surprise guest. And his whole theme on LFG was he wanted the young guys to bring, he wanted everybody to show grit. He wanted everybody, he was like, I want to see your killer instinct. I want to see that gnarly, that grimy dude come out and, I want to see, and he was really on the Olympian. He's like, you are a natural born killer. He was like, that's your role. You got to, all that smiling and all that, you got to put that to the side. You need to be out there, showing up everybody because you got the skill set. The whole thing, and of course the young guys, they had a hard time doing it. They had a hard time pulling it off because they could grunt and groan and yell and scream. But what they were talking about, the coaches and Gunther, they wanted to see it in the work. These guys don't have enough experience as far as workers to know how to do a heel match. So they did their basic standard matches that they've been taught. Some of them tried to go outside the ring, whatever the case may be. But all of them got negative points from Gunther as far as being a killer. Well, I feel like because they showed that on Sunday and then what we got last night, I feel like all that was congruent with his character to show how Gunther perceives himself. Because what he did to Jimmy last night, had that happened in the street, Gunther be in a cell right now. He'd be staring down a few years.
I'm looking at Gunther, and this analogy may be for me and me only. I don't know. But I'm looking at Gunther like I look at 1970s, early 1980s NWA Harley Race.
Okay, I can see that.
That's kind of how I look at Gunther right now. He's just a badass. He doesn't have to watch what he says because his fist can back it up.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I look at Gunther.
Yeah, well, he's definitely the old school, that old school guy, like you said, he go down there, beat you down. Either way, he could talk. And we didn't get enough. I didn't get enough experience with Harley to know how much of a talker he was. But the stories that preclude him, and his even in his in his demise, the stories that still come back of what kind of guy Harley was as far as a badass. Nobody seems to have any doubt towards that. Nope. That Harley was the guy. So when you look at a guy like Gunther, he's damn near the reincarnate of that.
Yep. So there was some intricacies though that happened that the mic picked up, the regular crowd could not hear. But some of the intricacies that happened was as Jay was zip tied, pleading for his brother, trying to grab him, trying to pull him close. He wasn't calling him Jimmy.
What did he call him? John?
He called him John.
Ugh.
So he broke kayfabe.
Yeah, I get it, but
he called him John because come on now, we government name, that's Josh and John. That's
right, and then if you know, and I understand the idea behind it, because when you see somebody beat down that bad, all that storyline is out. You're being as serious as can be.
That kind of happened.
Of course, I'm doing the air quotes for anybody that can't see us, but
that kind of happened though one night when Triple H got in a bad way. Vince went out to try to pick him up and try to see what was going on, and he called him Paul.
Yeah.
So they break that wall.
Yeah, sometimes you and I get it. I mean, they even played into. So I don't know, for those of you that watch that are all consumed with wrestling like we are. I saw Stephanie's Places last week. We had a Stephanie's Places showing. And they even harkened back to the 2014, 2013 promo with Triple H and CM Punk, where CM Punk flat out told him, this is Phil Brooks talking to Paul Levesque. All that other's out the window. So every now and again, a storyline can pull enough of it to where you have to say, hey, it's worth it to put quote unquote kayfabe out the window and let's talk like men. So I get it.
Speaking of Phil Brooks, we need to transition to one more main event match.
What's more main event than what we just talked about?
True. So we got the contract signing on SmackDown Friday night, and this is between Seth, Roman, and Punk. Roman comes out, does his thing nonchalantly, signs the contract. Seth comes out, gives a diatribe about, me and you used to run this place. Last time we were both in this building together, we landed on the roof. We took out everybody, blah, blah, blah. And basically Roman looks at Seth and goes, we?
Yeah.
This is me.
Yeah, he said, I've been doing the heavy lifting.
I've been doing this.
Yeah, he said, you've been around, but I've been doing the heavy lifting, which he's got a gripe. I mean,
he does. So Seth went on and signed the contract as usual. This is a contract signing, right? So then we get Punk's music hits. Punk comes to the table and he's looking at the contract and reading through, and Roman's looking at him going, what are you doing? Like, what are you looking for?
Yeah, he's like, this is WWE, son. We signed contracts. We get out of here.
Yeah, so let's do this. And then Paul reaches over and looks at Punk and goes, hey, I know what you're looking for. And it's in there. You will main event night one of WrestleMania.
Yep.
And you will be able to consider yourself now as a WrestleMania main eventer.
Yep. That's what he told him. And you remember the old In Living Color show that, that used to come on in the early 90s?
Yep.
Remember the two dudes that obviously we're not going to compare ourselves to, but as soon as I say it, you'll know who I'm talking to. Remember when they would do reviews and then, hated it? So
wait.
Exactly. Hated it. And the reason I hated it is I felt like they had to use that to actually tell the fans that CM Punk's in the main event of WrestleMania because it's so overshadowed by what Cody and Cena are doing. If you've got to tell it to us, then is it really a main event?
So I didn't hate it, and here's why I didn't hate it.
Oh, so you were Twan then, because Twan didn't always hate it.
He always didn't hate it, but
yeah.
So I didn't hate it because
see how I made you the guy that had the funny name. I just left myself out of that completely. I just passed it along and kept it moving.
So it and I've said this before on the podcast. For me, it's all about the story.
Yeah.
And some of the best stories aren't told with words, right? So, the scene that I always go back to in Braveheart was when William Wallace got betrayed. And he got betrayed by Robert the Bruce, and he was betrayed. It was nothing that was said. It was about how those two characters looked at each other.
Yeah.
Paul didn't have to say anything. It was how he looked at Punk, and Punk looked at Paul. And both of them legitimately got tears in their eyes. Yeah. Like, legitimately. That wasn't a work. That was shoot. They got tears in their eyes. For me to see that, it's not the whole, Punk's finally getting a main event, because actually a lot of people, especially the IWC's coming after Punk right now, because they're telling Punk, why does this mean anything to you? Because back in AEW, you said, why? So you want to go leave and main event night 4 of a buy one get one free extravaganza. I mean, they're calling Punk out on this, but
but Punk forgot all that now. All that gets washed in the wind when you're in the company now and you're living the dream.
It ain't about that though. I mean, what it's really about, Punk is the guy that the reason why people chanted his name for 10 years when he was away, because he was the guy that just gave the middle finger to the administration. Like, legitimately gave the middle finger to the administration. He did do
that, but we got to talk about why. Why did he do that? Because he didn't get the main event of WrestleMania that year.
True.
He dropped the title to The Rock and let The Rock go on to take his main event spot, and that soured him on it, and that's why he did it. So,
but it's kind of like this though. Here's how I look at it. Roman, we know when anybody, whether this is legit or whether this is just made up for TV and it happens, anytime anybody brings up Big Dog to Roman, he hates that part of his character, right? He hates that part of his legacy. Yeah. You can tell.
He should, because Big Dog would just say suffering succotash and things like that. So but I would also hate that.
But Big Dog went on to be tribal chief, which had the, 4th longest run of anybody as a champion within the WWE.
Yeah, I mean, he pulled that off.
So for that, and he had his moment, not at a WrestleMania. I think his moment that meant the most to him was when Afa and Sika put the Ulafala on him at the top of the entrance.
When he's ordained.
He was ordained as the tribal chief. So he had his moment. At 40, Cody had his moment. He had got to finish his story.
Yeah.
41, Punk gets his moment finally. Punk is finally getting his main event. Now,
does that mean he wins?
I think there's going to be some shenanigans and some big time shenanigans, and we're going to watch this all unfold in real time. I think
it's going to be as bad as last year with the old Avengers Assemble situation.
I think there's a strong chance, and I know how you're going to feel about this, so I'm already ready. I think there's a strong chance we don't get Cody Cena.
Yuck. If that happens, we might as well just throw the whole WrestleMania in the tank. What they say, throw the baby out with the bathwater. If somehow or another they wander themselves out of that, throw the baby out with the bathwater.
I think you wind up getting Cody, Cena, Punk.
Yuck.
I do.
So now you've taken Roman completely out of the main event.
No.
The highest paid wrestler in the company is nowhere near the main event.
Here's what I think Punk was looking for. Because he told Paul, thank you for telling me that, but that's not the favor. He told Paul that.
Yeah.
I think the favor is there's a clause written in that contract that he was looking for that says if I win my triple threat match, I get inserted into the main event for night 2. I think that's what he was looking for.
So I get the idea. It makes perfect sense. The only thing is there's no connective tissue between Paul and any of that.
Not yet.
So him to finagle his way into getting into the night 2 main event.
I think Paul flips on everybody.
How does he find his way into that main event though? I mean, because there's no connective tissue there.
What do you mean?
between Cena and Cody, what they're doing there's no connective tissue with Paul Heyman at all. There's no way to get him to have any influence on that match.
I don't think there has to be.
There does for me. You're going to tell me a story, damn it. No. There's got to be connective tissue.
I think the story gets told after.
I don't want to hear it after.
If it happens.
I don't want to hear it
if it happens.
Next week's episode, we're breaking this down. But yeah, I don't want to have it. I don't want to get a story afterwards. I need to know intricately how the hell we affect that main event. Unless there's a Money in the Bank briefcase cash in, I don't want no bullshit in that second night main event.
The other thing that I think happens that may be connected to the favor, and we got to start wrapping things up here, but as we talk about the favor, could it really be John actually beats Cody and he beats him down, like severely beats him down? Rock comes out, helps Cena beat him down. I mean, it's just a bloodbath, leaves Cody laying in a heap. Cody's out for months. Who's going to chase Cena? Punk.
Now that I could see.
And then Punk and Cena go round and round and round and round until SummerSlam, and then you finally get Punk and Cena at SummerSlam. Then maybe you get Cena retaining, maybe you get Punk retaining or Punk winning, who knows? And then
everything you're saying right now is giving me 2011 vibes. Here, I'm getting all warm and fuzzy on the inside. Those were some good days. And during a dark ass time of wrestling, those were the few angles that actually had spark and spice back then.
Instead of the summer of Punk, you get the summer of Cena.
Exactly. So yeah, now if we can find a way to connect that tissue, sign me on up for that. Because like I said, 2011 was some scary, scary days in the wrestling world. It was hard being a wrestling fan during some of that. But the Summer of Punk was the only little bit where he actually took the spinner title, said, I'm leaving the company, and you actually saw it pop up on indie shows in Chicago. I mean, and I was still there at the time. So I was able to go to an indie show where I saw him with the title, and I'm like, what in these shit is he doing here? Oh my God, what are we doing? And then it all cascaded. It was wonderful.
I mean, what if that happens and John does that? I mean, John said he was taking it, retiring and going home, but what if Punk is able to call him out and get him back out? I mean,
Cena could definitely take that title to TNA. I mean, you got a good stop there.
There's some other things that can happen, but see, this is the thing. Like, I really feel like just like we didn't see the Cena heel turn coming, I feel like we haven't saw what's coming to wrap up Mania and take us past Mania. I feel like they've got some cards hidden up their sleeves and they've not shown them yet, which is a great thing if you're a wrestling fan.
Absolutely. Yeah, we still got a couple weeks and they got to fill time.
Even though we want to book the crap out of all of this stuff, it's better that we don't know.
No, I like booking it for our play, for our amusement and all that, but I actually like when they come up with something better.
Yep.
Now, again, when we first started the show, they were coming up with shit that was worse.
Yep.
And that was horrible because I'm like, now, and that's what the other channels doing right now. I'm not even going to throw their name out there. I'm not going to do it at the end of our show. But that's what the other channels doing. We're booking decent stuff for that nonsense over there, and they ain't listening.
Yep.
And, they're freelancing and doing their own thing, and it's not getting the ratings that they want because they ain't bringing us in.
All right, so we talked about main event breakdown. There's still some other main events that that are happening, whether they're main event or not main event. There's some good stuff going down. Me myself, I'm excited for Io, Bianca, and Rhea.
No, it's just Bianca and Io, and that's what we've discussed. That's what was laid down.
That's not happening, sir. But anyhow, thank you for listening to today's episode. We appreciate what you guys do. Reach out on our social media platforms. Drop us a line. Tell us what you think about these main events that happen at Mania. And with that, we bid you adieu.
See ya. Yeah, mid-card, James. So
today's podcast was produced by SBP. You can find our podcast on all major podcast platforms. Also, connect with us on our social media accounts. Search for The Bookers Alliance on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and X.